All right, now, at our very earliest convenience, we will take you live to the NPP headquarters to get a fresh update on how their proceedings are going since they started to speak to some members for the disciplinary committee, as well as seeking to negotiate who takes that fifth slot in the top 5. All right, so we'll take you there as soon as we can. But before all of that, hoteliers in Ghana are unhappy. Now, they say they are reeling under a heavy burden of taxes and utility tariffs, which are collapsing their business. Now, they held a news conference this morning before presenting a petition to the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission demanding reduction in utility tariffs. Now, we're going to deal with their grievances in full, but on the issue of electricity, there is a reason why the prices and tariffs keep going up. Isaac Kofi with our research desk joins me with the facts. We might not like them, but they are facts.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, why? Why are these tariffs going up? Why does it cost more?
So first of all, we should remember that PLC actually came out with this arrangement, I think, in August. That they did the main tariff adjustment in August, but they were going to go ahead to do what we call the quarterly tariff adjustment. This is simply because they are looking at least 4 factors: the price of gas, inflation, exchange rate, and then also, some other factors actually causing or influencing them to adjust the tariff. But mind you, in August, when, Ghana Water Company and ECG all went to the PRC with their proposal for an increment in tariff, they all went up with a mammoth, asking. Ghana Water Company, for instance, were demanding a 334% increment in tariff. ECG was demanding 148% increment in tariff. At the end of the day, in August, ECG got 18.3% of what they asked. Now, Ghana Water Company Limited also got 6.5% of what they asked. So if you look at this year, for instance, the number of times PRC have actually adjusted tariff upward has been the third. This will be the third time in September. Cumulatively, for instance, if you look at electricity tariff, we are talking about 60% in terms of mid-2022 till now. Tariff have been adjusted by more than 60%. Why are we seeing this quarterly adjustment? It's simply because of the agreement we had in our IMF program, that in our ECF with the IMF, that is going to give us some $3 billion. In order not for us to pay for under recoveries and all of those things, PRC is going to make an arrangement to make sure that they adjust tariff quarterly. So you may not get the 334% or 148% upfront, but we are going to stagger the increments and give you 4%, 25%, 24% every month. But if you compare this upward adjustment to what we had somewhere February this year, that is relatively lower. And in terms of the bracket that is going to affect, it's going to affect non-lifeline consumers, those who consume, for instance, those who consume more than 30 kilowatt-hour, they are going to experience this form of, increment. But the baseline for this argument is that there are some 4 factors that I mentioned: exchange rate, inflation, the price of gas, fuel prices, and all of those things influencing or compelling the PRC to actually go ahead with this tariff adjustment.
I mean, we did hear that we should expect these to be quite regular under an IMF program. Is that also one of the factors, going into the regularity of increase?
Of course, Kojo, if you look at the IMF, there are conditionalities that you have to meet to get certain disbursements. Although we've had the first tranche of the $3 billion, which is around $600 million, the second tranche will be based on meeting certain conditions. And I'm sure that, this tariff adjustment and all of those things, although may not be explicit, but there are some indirect things that we have to do to make sure that we get to this level, because we don't want to see an energy sector that generates a debt burden of $1 billion again. We don't want to pay for 500 million excess capacity again in a year and all of those things. come to think of it, we are owing IPPs about $1.7 or $2 billion, and we are asking them to come for haircuts. So PURC must make sure that they put measures in place to make sure that, you know, they are able to get the revenue that they actually have to get in a certain fiscal year. And then also the industries that have been affected. If you look at inflation, for instance, exchange rate, and all of these things that is affecting the PURC is directly affecting, you know, the industry as well. So if you go ahead to increase the tariff, then it means they are suffering a double whammy. So yeah, at this moment, there's an agreement in the IMF program that compels us, or, you know, it tells us to vary tariffs every quarter.
Right. Now, in the studio, we have Dr. Edward Aka Nyamiche Jr. He's the president of the Ghana Hoteliers Association. And we're also joined by Dr. Eric Obute, who... Thank you both for your time with us.
Thank you, Kojo.
Afternoon. Right. So, I mean, serious business. Some of your members are crying foul, suggesting that water bills alone could lead to the collapse of their businesses. Surely.
Yes, Kojo, right? Thank you so much for the opportunity. In actual fact, today's press conference was focused on the tariff adjustment for February, March, April, and May. So it's not about the very recent adjustment which will take effect from 1st September. What happened was that in January 2023, PURC announced tariff adjustments, as they had indicated in 2022 that there's going to be the quarterly adjustment. They announced 8.3% for water. I can't remember what they announced for electricity. So we were expecting an upward adjustment of that 8.3% for 1st February. February comes, we receive our bills, and our adjustment has gone up by 167%.
Wow.
Yes, Kojo, that's exactly what happened, 167%.
This was across board, all hotels?
All hotels, all hotels. So we petitioned them back and forth. Initially, they said it was part of the customer reorganization exercise. Later on, they said, well, there had been a mistake because we are supposed to be in the non-residential category, and they had migrated us erroneously to the other commercial category, which was why that 167%. So they're going to investigate and correct it. Only for them to come later when the 1st June adjustment came up to say that, oh, actually you are in the commercial category, not even other commercial, in the commercial category, which is why your rate is the 30 Ghana cedis per cubic meter.
And this was from the PURC? It
was from the PURC. So we again petitioned the Ghana Tourism Authority. They wrote to them, but they've not been able to arrange for a meeting. And so we decided to have this press conference to explain the issues to the public and to the government to come in. So that's where we are.
I have a letter here. It's not very long, so I'll read it. It's dated the 5th of April, 2023.
Right.
It's from the PURC, and they are writing to a distribution list, including the Ghana Water Company. Okay, now it's signed by Dr. Ishmael Aka, who is the Executive Secretary of the PURC. The heading is Investigation of Complaints into Implementation of 2023 First Quarter Water Tariffs.
Right.
The Commission acknowledges complaints lodged by some customers and consumers of water relating to the approval and implementation of the 2023 First Quarter Water Tariffs. Following meetings with Ghana Water Company and various consumer groups, as well as preliminary investigations, the Commission notes that a significant aspect of the complaints emanate from misclassification in the implementation of the tariff. For instance, a number of non-residential customers have been migrated to the other commercial category at a higher rate. There have also been complaints from other categories, including water tanker operators, which may also be due to the same misclassification. In view of the above, the Commission is undertaking a full-scale investigation and has issued the following interim directives to Ghana Water Company. So there were 3 interim directives. First one is, pending the completion of the investigation, Ghana Water Company shall revert all non-residential customers misclassified as other commercial back to the non-residential customer category. Did this happen?
It did not happen.
Okay. 2, all Ghana Water Company water filling points for water tank operators. Well, you wouldn't know about this one. You're not a water tank operator. The 3rd one, customers in the non-residential and other commercial categories with disputed bills should not be disconnected until the completion of the investigations. However, they've been disconnecting.
Yes.
Right. It ends here by saying, however, customers shall pay a reasonable amount on account to avoid disconnection. Those who are being disconnected, are they paying a reasonable amount?
Paying reasonable amounts. Ghana Water Company wouldn't listen to anything.
Okay. This is the letter. It ends with a note that any customer who fails to continue to pay a reasonable amount may be liable for disconnection. And the directive was to take effect from the 5th of April 2023. You're saying that these PURC directives, as they pertain to your members, have not been implemented.
Ghana Water Company Limited did not act on that directive.
What have your engagements with the Ghana Water Company yielded?
Well, we don't engage with Ghana Water Company Limited because the PRC is the commission in charge of that. So they are the mediator between us and the service providers. Okay, so our issues have been directed to PRC, and rightly so, because they are in charge of that. We have nothing to do with Ghana Water Company.
But their directives seem not to be followed. So really, how hopeful are you that they are capable of resolving this?
It means the PURC has a big question on its mandate, a big question mark on its mandate.
So, I mean, I'm sure that you've had communication with them since April. You've had the opportunity to tell them that their directives are not being followed.
Yes,
what's their
because
explanation?
Kojo, the reason why we went on the press conference today was that after this letter, which you read out, we complained again, and then they now came back. You know, when the 1st June announcement came, when we saw that they had adjusted the tariffs, then we were like, ouch, you haven't addressed the earlier issues. So why are you going ahead to adjust the tariffs for us? So we wrote to them again. And that was when they now indicated that we are actually in the commercial category.
And this is what PURC said?
This is what PURC said. Okay, so that's where we brought in the Ghana Tourism Authority, and that has not yielded anything. So today's press conference was directed at PURC, and we sent them a petition. But the interesting thing is that, you know, we planned to walk from the International Press Center, where we held the press conference, to the PURC office, just about under 2 kilometers. We wrote to the Ghana Police Service on the 14th of August, in line with the Public Order Act, which required us to send a notice 5 days before the time. There's been some back and forth with the police. They were not able to have a meeting with us, even though they had scheduled 2 different meetings for us to discuss it. So yesterday we went to see them again, and they said, oh, because of the Homo War and all those excuses, they will not be able to provide us any protection, so we should reschedule. We said we didn't reschedule. So we had a press conference, all right, but we decided, just before the end, I told the participants that when we step out of the press center, if there are policemen there, then we will embark on the march to the PURC. If there are no policemen there, we will not. What we'll do is that we'll send some of our executives in the association's bus to send a petition to the PURC.
So were there policemen there?
Where?
When you came out? Were there policemen?
There were no policemen there.
Okay.
So we did the plan B. We got to, okay.
I'm so sorry to cut in. I want to know what plan B entails. But if you come with me very briefly to the NPP headquarters, where our very own Samuel Mbura has been keeping tabs on those coming in and out for very important meetings as the party seeks to resolve the tie at the bottom, the top 5. Samuel, what's the latest?
And Adainimo are supposed to go for that election, special election again. That will be this Saturday, as announced by the chairman of the elections committee, Professor Mike Eronokwe. But we do also know that there are talks behind doors for a consensus candidate to go and join the remaining 4 for the main Congress in November. That is not yet established yet. But the elections committee says they have, sent their report to the National Council through the General Secretary, and that's what they are still waiting on. But on the part of the party, everything is certain that they will go for the election unless there's a development from either of the aspirants that may express interest of contesting or not. But today, the main focus is for the aspirants who contested, all 10 aspirants who contested in this election, the superdelegates election, to come and table their concerns, if there are any. So since morning, the elections committee with the party executives as well met with them, and they have been here for the past 3 hours having a conversation on that. So one of the issues that came up, and we know that a reporter from Northeast region reported that one of the agents was reportedly assaulted belonging to the Alan Kyerematen's camp. We understand that agent is currently at the hospital. Alan Kyerematen is visiting with his team. But other aspirants are also bringing their evidence as well. Honorable Kennedy Japan, his witness is sitting just right at the top there. There's a balcony, the balcony that you are seeing on top there. He is here with a life support, a neck support, and he came all the way from the Bono East region. He said he's alleging that he was attacked during the election or the conduct of the Superdelegates Congress. So at the moment, they are presenting their evidence to the committee. So the committee only gave them the opportunity to come and then put bare their grievances or the wrongdoings that they recorded along the line, because we know that the party issued guidelines that every aspirant and the team would have to go with. So that meeting with all the aspirants has actually ended. I spoke earlier to Mr. Kojo Poku, one of the aspirants, who said that an attack on one agent of one aspirant is an attack on all agents. So what they want is that the committee should look into it and apply sanctions. And they are just pointing to the Northeast Regional Chairman, who has been accused of masterminding this attack. All other aspirants agree with such assertions, and Kennedy Japan is still with the elections committee. But I've spoken with the national chairman of the NPP, Mr. Stephen Ayeso, in team, and then he said he's okay with the exercise so far, but whatever the challenges or the differences may be arising from this Superdelegates Congress, they would ensure that they iron them out. So at the moment, Mr. Kennedy Japan is still with the election committee members in there, and we are patiently waiting for him to come up. But the general so far who have held a meeting with the committee is that yes, they were satisfied with the entire conduct of the exercise. However, the exercise is what they are pushing for the election committee to investigate. So Kojo, that is what has been happening at the NPP headquarters here at Asylum Down. For the past 4 hours, I have pitched camp to monitor proceedings here. So we are still waiting for the election committee to come and give us a briefing on the way forward, as well as Kennedy Japan, whom we all heard in the viral audio threatening of a showdown. So we don't know what that showdown is inside there. What we do know is that he has presented some evidence or witness who were attacked and allegedly intimidated by some of the aspirants' agents in the Northeast region. Kojo. So that is just the crux of the meeting so far from the NPP headquarters here as Asylum Down.
The atmosphere just outside the headquarters, is there quite a gathering of supporters for those who are coming in to meet with the executives, particularly Kennedy Japan, who is there now?
I have supporters. They came with their own team, just a 3-member team, to support him or to accompany him to the meeting. But they are not allowed to the main meeting area. You can pitch outside or in the compound of the office, but you cannot go there. It's only the aspirant that is supposed to go. So Kennedy Japan is the only aspirant who actually came for this meeting. The remaining aspirants delegated their reps to come. I spoke to most of the reps, and they said they were satisfied and they will convey the information to their boss. But at the moment, it's only the media that is in the compound of the NPP headquarters and the security guards here. But we don't have supporters coming in because this is supposed to be a meeting between the aspirants and then election committee. So no need bringing supporters and all that. So the atmosphere here is, I must say, it is not a tense one. It's just a normal atmosphere with party activities going on.
Samuel, keep your eyes peeled. We'll be coming back to you for more as it happens. And that's Samuel Mbura. He is on his feet, on guard and watching for you at the NPP headquarters. headquarters. More on that story later. But let's come back into the studio. Mr. Kyerematen is giving us an insight into how the PURC's engagement with them is yet to bear the fruit that they desire in their bid to have affordable water bills. Now, I've got to ask, I mean, before we come back for the plan B, which I definitely want to know about, I've got to ask, in real terms, are you saying that your water bills could collapse your business?
Could you see, when you look at the hotel business in perspective, and you look at the various components of the operational costs, that is where the different components become very important. So a little adjustment in any of them creates a big challenge. Okay. Water and electricity would take about 25 to 30% of our operational costs.
What?
Telling you. Yes, that's a lot. It used to be around 13% to 15%, but over the years it keeps increasing. We're at a point where hoteliers are spending between 20 to 30% on that. So any little adjustment in the utilities goes a long way to affect our operations. And that's why we are very much concerned.
We'll come back to the numbers and how they affect the customer as well in a moment. But plan B, what happened?
So, Kojo, the plan B was that since the policemen were not outside of the press center, we decided that some of the executives should go in the bus, and I joined them. We got to PRC office, and guess what? The police were there.
Oh. Okay.
So they did not provide us the protection we needed on the protest march from the press center to PURC, even though we had sent a letter in line with the Public Order Act. But they were at PURC protecting the press. So immediately we got there, they were like, hold it here. We'll inform the PURC executive officers that you are here. So we waited patiently downstairs. So they came. Unfortunately, Ishmaelaka, the executive secretary, was not there, or he didn't come down or whatever. But the other senior officers came to meet us, and we presented the petition to them. According to them, they are going to study the petition and they'll get back to us.
Now, I mean, hotels are at the center of our tourism ecosystem. And if you can't afford to operate, the knock-on effect is huge. For a country that is trying to make the most of things like the year of return, and, you know, in an IMF program, it is only things like tourism and service sectors where you don't have to pump in too much as a government in order to yield outcomes. These are the things we can rely on. So tell us in real terms, what impact is this having, first of all, on the sector and on your customers in particular?
Massive. I'm sure you've heard it numerous times that hotel rates are very expensive in Ghana. And it's because people continue to compare our rates with other countries with the same level of service or the facilities. And the only difference that accounts for that is the economic environment in which we operate in. Okay, we have a whole host of taxes and levies we pay, and then we also have these utilities, which is becoming a challenge now, and then we also have the maintenance costs, and we depend so much on other service providers. We depend on carpenters, we depend on masons, we depend on the gardeners, we depend on the electricians and all that. So when the economic environment is changing, they are also changing their rates, okay? And all of that comes to affect our operational costs and then reduces the profit margin. That is a basic challenge. Otherwise, this is, like you're saying, this is an industry that has a whole huge potential for the economy of the country.
There are some who are of the view that, well, I mean, hotels, you guys who own hotels, you have a lot of money. You know, so maybe we're all taking a haircut. So why don't you take a haircut on your profits and, you know, pay more for your water bills? After all, I think it is trite knowledge that nobody in Ghana pays the true cost of our utilities.
I can tell you for a fact that a lot of hotel owners have taken the business, for want of a better word, like a hobby, like a pastime. So even when they are making losses, they take money from other businesses to invest in it. So when you see this massive building, massive structure there, the financial issues going on there, You can never imagine. I've received several calls from the upmarket hotel, 3, 4, 5, on this water tariff between the February and May, amounting to 400,000, 500,000, which have become debts in their books because of that 167% adjustment. Okay, so it's not as lucrative as it looks or as it appears. Hoteliers simply try to operate with the basic business principle: inflows, outflows. You strike a balance, you have your profit margin, and the more risk you take, the higher the profit. So when you invest more, you are likely to get more. That's why it appears that. But it is not an easy business.
Have hotels considered the option of rationing water use, or at least reducing your waste?
I can tell you that a lot of hotels try to manage their costs as much as possible. I do know that some have even been using solar energy. The challenge with solar energy, and I hope the energy minister is listening, is that at one point there was this policy, energy policy, that when you generate excess power from solar, you're able to sell back to the grid. And so a lot of people were going to it. That policy was truncated. So the incentive to go into the solar is becoming a bit funny because the initial cost is massive and huge. And if you're not careful, you run. But with water, I do know that some are also going to borehole. Yes, borehole and all those things. The rationing, we cannot ration. That's the challenge with the hotels. You cannot ration electricity, you cannot ration water. Because if you have, say, 20 or 30 rooms, and you get about 15 of your guests stay in the room the whole day, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
We only get some balances between people who stay outside the room for a long while, come in for about an hour or two to rest and all that. So that balance is there. But when you get a lot of your guests staying the whole 24 hours, you're in trouble.
That's why these hotels try to get us out to the poolside and all of these things.
Everything to take you out of the room.
You see, I get it now. Yeah, it must be a very tricky and precarious business to run. But look, what's the next step? Have you given any kind of ultimatum to the PURC to react to deal with these issues?
We have not given any timelines, and you see, the point is that we all appreciate the situation we find ourselves in. And we know that there has to be some way to address it. Okay. What we are against is that approach of creating that uncertainty in the system that increases the woes of the business person. Because you said you are increasing the tariff by 8.3%. So where from the 167%? Without notice, nothing. There's jumps on you, boom. Those are the things that we are trying to get the agencies and the commission to avoid going forward. We don't want to give you any time, and PUC should look at the petition we've sent to them. It captures everything. They should study it carefully and see how unfair they have treated us, and we hope that they will be able to address it. So we are just sitting back. You see, in all this too, we are counting on the sector minister, Dr. Awal. We are counting on the finance minister. We're also counting on the Parliamentary Select Committee on Trade, Industry and Tourism. Unfortunately, we copied them on all of these things, but we are not getting any response from them, and it's just unfortunate.
Well, they certainly watch this show, so let's hope that it doesn't fall on deaf ears and you get some collaboration with them. Thank you so much. Ishmael Akanyamiche. Edward.
Ishmael is
yes. Edward Akanyamiche. Yamike, yes. Happens to be my senior from high school. And he is the head of the Ghana Hoteliers Association. Right, there's more to come on The Pulse. I don't want you to go too far. Grab yourself a cup of something warm. Come back here in a few minutes and we'll have more. You're welcome back. Now, the founding of the Convention People's Party marked a decisive turning point in the history of Ghana. Its founding led directly to the achievement of Ghana's independence on the 6th of March, 1957. Now, since then, the CPP, led by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, spearheaded Ghana's development, building roads, hydroelectric dams, cities, and so forth. These achievements are to a very large extent unmatched by the NDC or the NPP, which have both dominated the country's governance since a return to constitutional rule. But is it by coincidence that the Nkrumah Memorial Park has been revamped in 2023? I mean, look at these figures, okay? Kwame Nkrumah led Ghana to independence in 1957 with the CPP, forgive me, whose slogan was forward ever, backward never. Since then, they've constructed the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, Tema Metropolis, Tema Harbour, Tema Motorway, Akosombo Dam, Pediase Lodge, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Adomi Bridge. The list goes on. Right now, since then, they've had several people leading their party, from Dr. Papa Kwesi to Abu Sakara, Ivor Green Street in 2016 and 2020. But at no point have they in any way matched the dizzying heights of the numbers of votes they pulled in back in the day. Dr. Papa Kwesi has done the best out of the lot with 1.32% in 2008. Abu Sakara had 0.18%. 0.2% was achieved by Ivor Green Street. He did a bit better in 2020 with 0.8%. But that is about as good as it got for him. So, I mean, it's a head scratcher. How did the first party, to achieve independence in Ghana fall to the point where they aren't even a third force in Ghana's fourth republic? I mean, if you're new to Ghana and not sure how important Kwame Nkrumah is to Ghana's development, here's a short clip to bring you up to date. That was entertaining, and it's from our partners, DW. All right, so the CPP says they are stepping up to recapture lost glory. It has relaunched, seeking to right the wrongs of the past. Well, this afternoon, our question is CPP ready to lead Ghana once again? I can't think of a better person to help us answer this question. Nana Akosua-Frimpong is the chairperson of the party. What a pleasure to have you on our show.
Oh, wonderful. I've heard so much and seen you, but you look much more handsome.
Oh, you're very kind. Yes, keep going that way. All right. Now, look, I mean, it's difficult not to like the CPP. Your history is beautiful. You know, this is the party that put us on the map. This is Nkrumah's CPP. You know, when the UGCC brought him along to do a job and he felt they were not radical enough, the CPP was his solution to bring Ghana, away from colonial rule. And it worked. The CPP has remained dominant. In fact, the last time you won an election was as recent as 1979 with Dr. Hila Liman. Who would have thought that in 2020, you would be scraping the barrel with 0.2% of the vote in a national election? What happened?
Thank you. Let me take the opportunity to say hi to all your viewers, and especially to all the youth and my executives across the country and all the CPP lovers. This is it's one of those situations that, especially those that have been part of the party, our what we call our senior comrades, they constantly lament on this matter. Some of us were quite young when my father was picked and he was in jail for almost 2.5 years. So we saw some glimpse of it. However, today, it is difficult for people like myself and a few that I know to say that where CPP is or has been, for that reason, we might just have to pack baggage and leave. The CPP, I want everybody listening to me to understand, it's an ideology. It's not just a political party. It's a political party that has built on a certain belief system. And that is basically that the African or the Ghanaian is capable of governing or managing his or her own affairs. That for me is loaded. And that is why some of us believe that no matter the current state that we find ourselves in, it is important that we use the current technology, we use the current system to be able to bring back and give, because how else can you get Ghana back to where it's supposed to be? It is not by chance that Ghanaians were able to get the colonial invaders out of this country the time we did. It is because of what Osagyefo stood for, what he believed in, what the people around him and what the youth of this country and what the people of the country at that time were looking for. And that is exactly the place we are today. The youth of this country who said they want to fix this country are looking for a better system. We asked for their independence. They joined because of the policies that were made. They know that the independence indeed will bring back to them their own identity as Africans, as Ghanaians. However, most importantly, they will be able to live a life of meaning and live their potential and live to their fullest, which is exactly what we've missed. Today, we are where we are. Not because CPP did something wrong. It was an orchestrated plan by the very invaders that knew that the plan that was put in place, people talk about 400 million and 7 million that were here and the white man, nobody left money for Ghana. The monies were made in Ghana. These were Ghana's money. No money came from no colonial invader to come and dump it in Africa. That we have to understand. When we understand, then we understand that the fact is they came here for a purpose. And one of their purpose was that they would take our raw materials, take it over there, and be able to produce consumables that you and I would be used to. And when we get used to it, then we will be feeding the industries there. Whilst they feed, we consume what they've done. And over the years, what happened is that when we took over power, because we knew that the black person is capable, it must extend to the capability of feeding your own children. It must extend to the capability of housing your own children. And that is why under CPP, we got the most affordable housing project. As of the 6,700 properties that were built, that is the ones in Tema and South Intresso, Medina, and all those things, only 200 went to middle income like you. 1,500.
Is flattering me today.
1,500 went to the lower income, right. And the whooping 5,000 was for the laborer. That is what you call affordable housing. The housing that today is rather for the rich people, because those areas that I've mentioned, if you don't have high money, you won't get Yaniba Estate or anywhere for that in Laboni, for that matter. So, and if you look at the factories, the rate with which factories were built, everything we consumed here, including matches, even the pencil today is imported. Eraser, nothing. But everything was made in Ghana, including the television, your TV, vehicles. The cocoa, the fact that really gets to me is even the cocoa that is the source for the longest time, and so all Kenya was one of the main source of foreign exchange for this country. The jute that we pack the cocoa inside, we import. They were all produced in this country. So basically, my point is that the CPP had a plan, and that plan was executed. So when Osagyefo was at the throne, those projects had to be halted. That is why they banned CPP. That is why they made it like a crime. Everybody was a criminal, was criminalized, including everything. Everything was burnt, as we heard our mother, Nana Konaidu, saying that when she was at the secondary school in Achibota, she was there, she saw it herself when books of the CPP were burnt. And that was for a reason, to ensure that the ideology, what we represent, is never perpetuated, it's not continued, and all factories truncate. And who did that? They did it to say that there must be a restructuring program to make sure that factories rather this one is public factory is not the best. Let's go into private sector and then ensure that sell them to the private sector and rather abandon them to rot. So that is what we have.
I want to bring in Dr. Amachi Boateng. He's a political scientist at KNUST, aptly named Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Dr. Amachi Boateng, it's a pleasure to have you this afternoon. Now, I'm very interested in your perspective here because I am sure there are many viewers who will agree that there is something appealing about the CPP. Very often you hear people who wish to establish themselves as neutrals or as those who are impartial, aligning themselves with the CPP rather than MPP or NDC. You've heard Dr. Papa Kwesi Ndum in the past described as the best president we never had. Dr. Abu Sakara, Ivor Greenstreet, all respected personalities in the political sphere. The CPP has a good reputation. Why is it not reflecting in the votes?
Let me say good evening and good evening to our viewers, listeners, if some are listening in. We've been looking at this issue for a while now. Some of the explanations that we have come up with include the fact that, one, the CPP built itself around individuals. It didn't build institutions that people work with, so that you have individuals leaving the organization, the institution stay. It didn't do that. It built itself around individuals too. If you look at the phenomenon of political parties in Africa, there's this element of ethnicity playing out. And interestingly, in the Fourth Republic of Ghana, the only area where the CPP once had votes culminating in a parliamentary seat, relates to Nkrumah's hometown. Nkrumah's hometown. That was the only area that the CPP, the reorganized CPP in the Fourth Republic managed to win elections. Why is that the case? When in the days of Nkrumah, Ashanti region was a stronghold of the CPP, various parts of the country, Greater Accra. In fact, in almost all the elections conducted, 1951, 1954, 1956, the CPP won countrywide. Why is it that once Nkrumah was out, President Liman came in the name of the CPP, although, of course, they used the CPP to form another party, but they sort of express themselves as owing allegiance or coming out of the CPP tradition. But I like to believe that the support that they got did not necessarily come from the understanding of the CPP, but from the individuals who come from where they come from, and then the message that they, carried. I think they managed to resonate with the grassroots. So today, I like to believe that the CPP's fortunes, has to be tied to the individuals who are leading it. The individuals who are leading it. I don't think they are able to resonate with majority of Ghanaians. This nostalgia and stuff like that, the fellow will not win votes. Now, the CPP will have to find a way to reinvent itself and make itself relevant in the minds and understandings of Ghanaians, that they are able to provide what has always been missing. And you see, one thing we need to come to terms with is the fact that Ghana's economy has not done well since independence. Ghana's economy has not done well. This economist at the University of Ghana, Professor Ewusi, he has done an analysis of Ghana's economy from 1951 up to 2010. And by his work, he tells us the 50s represented the period of robust growth. Then the 60s, 70s, 80s, Ghana started falling, going down. So Ghana's economy has not done well. So to date, the challenge of economic growth, sustaining it and translating this thing into welfare of Ghanaians remains a challenge. If the CPP is able to address itself to some of these issues and come clear, get a group of individuals who will be prepared to finance themselves, then I think they will be able to bring the CPP back.
It's not lost on me that even though you say one of their downfall is partly due to the fact that they rallied behind individuals rather than institutions, in order for them to regain leadership in this country, they will have to rally behind an individual.
You need to start from somewhere. Individuals will have to put together the institutions that will, stay.
Yeah.
Institutions don't invent themselves. Individuals put institutions together. A typical example is J. Rawlings and the NDC. He succeeded to plant it, and he went about it in such a way that even though he's not here, people are carrying the whole thing on. Individuals, let's get this thing clear. President Obama talked about that thing. He didn't tell us how institutions come about. Human beings put institutions, organizations in place. But then the values they infuse into the organization remain. If there are values that, people coming up, the next generations are able to relate to and think that they are worthy of working with, then that is it. They will stay.
Right.
So that is the whole issue.
And I think it's a great segue into the next thing I wanted to ask you about. You're reorganizing the party,
Absolutely.
which means that we're going to see new things.
Wonderful.
Are we going to see new people? What kind of new person will the CPP be forming behind in a bid to win power in 2024?
Great. I really like some of the things the Prof said. However, that CPP did not organize itself as an institution. It's absolutely not the case. And I'll tell you why. CPP, when I was young, there was a club, or I would say something, an institution called the Young Pioneers.
Oh, yes.
The most of the people today either went to the Ideological Center or were part of Young Pioneers. Some of us are here because it is there. We must understand that CPP was a threat to the colonial masters. We have to understand that. And that a conscious effort was made. CPP was banned for over 10 years. People were criminalized. People were jailed if they saw you, if you grouped under that name. So anybody, let me see how any institution or any political party goes through the kind of threats, the kind of persecution that CPP went through, and see if they survived on this level. Back to the question. I believe that organization, as our father said, decides it all. The people must be ready for change. They must be hungry for change. And what's better change than the change that actually brought the independence? Life is real. And we are all belonging to a Christianity, Muslim, or something based on the beliefs of that.
Madam Chairperson, I'll beg your forgiveness because I'm getting a signal that there is a live event occurring that we have to capture before we continue with the conversation. Forgive me.
Sure.
But right now, as we speak, Alan Kyerematen is at the hospital where his polling agent was being treated. This is an individual who was reportedly attacked during the limited super delegates voting exercise on Saturday. Let's go live to hear what is being said by the victim.
So tell us about this.
Okay. What really happened was that just the Saturday past, 26th of this month, I was a party agent for Chief Alan. And so as early as 6 o'clock, I was already at the center waiting for the delegates to come. So once around 9:40, the Electoral Commission came and said their distance, their twos, waiting for the delegates to come and we start. So whilst I was there, they also came in. When the delegate was coming, it was Mustafa, the MP for Yagaba Kubori. He led all the delegates into the center. And so when they got there, we, the party agent for the various aspirants, were also seated. So they came and then some plastic chairs were arranged for them to sit. So when they came, they all sat. So after they sat, we also inspected the ballot box and other things. So they came in groups. They voted in groups. The first group was led by the MP for Wale Wale. So she came and voted and displayed her vote. So I complained to the police commander and the EC in charge. So I saw that they played another month. They didn't want to listen to me. So the regional minister also followed up. He voted and did not display his vote. Went and kept it inside the ballot box. So the third person was the regional youth organizer. He voted and displayed his vote. So I confronted him and told him, my brother, that is not the way, the rule of the game. We are told that no one should use a phone to snap when you vote. Secondly, we have been told that no one should vote and display his vote. Oh, when I said it, he picked a plastic chair and hit me, so I blocked him this way. So it hit my hand. So when it hit my hand, they saw the way I was standing with him. Then the national coordinator also rushed and hit me. So I saw that I was bleeding from my elbow. So when that happened, it was my MP, the MP for Kyerematen, Honorable Razak Tairo. He came to rescue me. So when he took me outside, I quickly called in my standby agent. He's a person of Mukaila, Ali Mukaila. So when he went in, I asked my Bunkurgu coordinator for Chief Alan to pick me, but then Richard Nyama was also somewhere, so I went to report to him. He brought me back to the center and reported him. He came to ask the police commander what transpired. And so at that process, the regional minister also came to plead with me that he wanted to take me to the hospital. And I said, no, I was not here on my own. I have someone who is leading me here, and he's the person of Richard Nyama. I should talk to him. So he went and came back and said, okay, Richard Nyama said we should go. So he took me to the hospital, and then the place was stitched. So after that was done, then I was somewhere later because I had my standby party agent has already replaced me. So later, Richard said the place was not safe. So he took me, including my second agent, and then Ken agent, and then brought us to Tamale. So when we got to Tamale, I was admitted a certain clinic for 3 days. So, and it was yesterday in the morning when that I was discharged. So when I was discharged, I was called to come to Accra. So that is why I'm here this morning.
Okay. So if you can remember, how many of them did you see attacking you?
No, the two people who attacked me first was the regional youth organizer and the national coordinator. But I was wounded by the national coordinator. He hit me with that object, and I cannot tell what kind of object was it.
Where is he now? Has the police picked him up?
No, you see, when the incident happened, I told you that my coordinator took me to Honorable Richard Nyama. So that is where I seek rescue first. And so he was the one who brought me back to the center before I was taken to the police station. So he said he was going to meet the police commander and talk to him and find out why I was attacked. Right. So I cannot tell as at now what are the complaints was made on this.
Okay, so quickly, you checked in today. What's the state of your eye now?
Yeah, I am still feeling severe pains. When I'm a Muslim, normally when I want to pray, I always experience severe headache and sometimes dizziness.
Can you see? Have you closed your eyes or you can?
Yes, I can see. But for now, I cannot see clearly as it used to be.
What did the doctor tell? What did he tell you?
Not for that one. That is personal. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you too.
Thank you very much. Yes. So we are here live. We are here live at the AIMS Hospital here with the NPP hopeful flag bearer and also the police agent that was assaulted. So this is the coordinator who took place after he was assaulted. So please your name first.
I'm called Ali Mukaila.
So after everything, what did you see next? Did you see any attack?
Honestly, immediately Mr. Razak was attacked and they brought him out. I was standing outside and I saw that there was blood all over his body. So quickly I called one of our agents that he should come and pick him to the hospital so that I can go inside and then replace him. So the other standby came and picked him, took him away, and then I went inside. So when I got inside, I questioned the electoral commissioner. I said, but where are the documents of my brother? He said he doesn't know. So it was Chirpune MP who took those documents, Honorable Taido Razak. So he called me and he said, oh, I should pick the documents. So I took them, went and sat down. And when I sat down, by then, the moment they took Zach away quickly, they went through the process and voted. So before I got inside, they have finished everything. So when we finished the process, they said we should append our signatures to testify that the whole process has gone on successfully. And I said, no, I was not going to do that because I didn't witness the whole process. And also, even why should you even attack someone and you want me to sign, to testify that you did the right thing? So I said, no, I was not going to sign. So when I rejected that, it became an issue. Most of them, they even wanted to attack me as well. But quickly, I saw Mr. Richard Nyama coming inside. So when he came out, he called me. So quickly, I went to him and he told me that Mukaila, don't go to any place, just stand with me. So honestly speaking, if not because of his presence, it wouldn't have been easy on our part because I could hear some of the boys speaking their local language that, oh, this big man is here. This big man is here. And they were referring to Mr. Richard. So quickly, I stood, I was just with him. I didn't make any move again. So they keep persisting. And Mr. Richard told them that. So why do you want to compel someone to sign? Because you didn't do the right thing. And even at this moment, is he not having a right? Is he not having a right as a human being? So there, they went away. Then their chairman now called us, we the party agents, that we should come and take 2,000 Ghana cedis just to lure us to at least append our signatures. And I told him that, my brother, there was no way I was going to take any money from you. They went further. They said they will add 1,000 cedis to make it 3,000. And I said, no, look, you people are joking. The whole this whole process has been so criminal and fraud. And you expect me to append my signature to testify that this hanky-panky results that you people have collated should be public to make it look as if things went unfairly. There was no way I will put my signature there. So I rejected that. Then they went and locked the door. That there was no way we could go out. Honestly speaking, at that point, it was not easy. I wish at that material moment I could have the powers to sprout wings to fly out of the room. But by then, Mr. Nyama, Mr. Richard he was with me. And even the other agents, because some of us, there were other agents who also refused signing. So they were just trying to attack those agents as well. So Mr. Richard came to our rescue and he managed, and we came out of the room. So when we came out, he picked us, and then with his pickup, we maneuver our way and we moved to Tamale Street. Even I and the regional coordinator went there with our motorbike and all that. We left everything behind and asked our brothers to pick them. So we followed Mr. Richard to Tamale, where my brother was admitted for almost 3 days. We have been there since, until when we realized that the situation was not, he was not responding to treatment as quick as we wanted. So we were asked to come to Accra for he to see a special an eye specialist, and I think that is why this afternoon we are here. So the whole electoral process, it was criminal because one, they didn't start the elections at the right time, because we were asked that by 9 o'clock the process should start. They started the process after 10. Then we were even asked that nobody should bring a phone inside. But the polling agent of Bawumia, he was holding a mobile phone. He was holding a mobile phone. They didn't, even the counting process, they just make it as if something that they have planned. So quickly, they just counted this thing, and then they started, they said they have ended the whole thing. So I think this was what went on.
Yeah, so, well, this is the accounts of Alidu Mukaila, from
for Chief Alan. So this region.
So he took over right after Ali Zakaria was attacked. So right now we will head to Alan Kyerematen for his comments. They've been to the regional office and he's here with us currently. You've heard the allegations so far. So, I mean, the headquarters called you to raise concerns and other things that you think wasn't right during the Superdelegate Congress. So what can you say about all this?
Let's just focus on why we are here. What happened to my colleague on Saturday was an act of total indiscipline and indecent behavior. How do we, as a decent party, going into an election, particularly at the level of superdelegates, superintend such behavior? I mean, look, we all joined the NPP because of our commitment to the values of the party. But what is happening clearly shows that this is not what we bargained for by joining the party. I'm not going to tolerate this kind of behavior. It doesn't make sense. And when we cannot conduct ourselves as a family, trying to select a leader, in a peaceful and organized manner, how do we intend to be able to do the same kind of process when we have 230 people gathered? 200,000 plus 1,000 people gathered, So I'm frankly very disturbed about what has happened. The party must not put a shine on this kind of incident. And we'll have to try and understand why this should happen. So, in an internal election.
Going forward, November is just around the corner, and we will also go ahead with these delegations. And what do you have to say going forward?
My brother, my interest now is about the health of my colleague here. Let us focus on that. That is why we are here. And then we'll deal with those things. Thank you very much.
Do you want to report to the police now?
So this is Alan Kyerematen, the NPP flag bearer hopeful, visiting the polling agent who was assaulted. As he said, right now, he said his main concern is about the health of the polling agent. So for now, he will just focus on that, and he doesn't want to comment on what the MPP headquarters or the action that they've taken. So that is what he said.
Thank you very much for that. And that's what just happened in the past few minutes. Alan Kyerematen visiting his polling agent who was allegedly assaulted during the limited superdelegates voting exercise on Saturday. We heard him give his own account of the event, naming two local party leaders who he claims were behind the attack on him. Of course, in the coming days, as the party looks into these allegations, we'll learn a lot more. But let's come back to the studio where we're talking about Ghana's most successful political party in our history, the CPP. And its chair is here with us. We're very excited to be having this conversation with Nana Frimpong, who, of course, is leading the party in what they call a relaunch.
Wonderful.
Now, we're very interested in this. Before we had to go for that live event, you were talking us through what will be new. And I'm interested in the new personalities, the new faces that people can expect to see leading the CPP.
Currently, let's like Alan said, let's focus on the reorganization. Because no matter what happens, yes, the face leading the party is important. Most important is whatever structures that will be put in place, the systems that will be put in place to ensure that the youth have a better opportunity and a more viable vehicle that they can use to be able to implement the policies that will bring a better country and be able to do things that at least will affect the very fabric of our nature. You see, this violence that we see now is becoming too many in politics, and the whole thing has been so monetized. If you hear everything, not just from here, but all the other elections that goes on, even within our own party and other smaller parties, this is not the direction. This, for me, is not what we need to do. So currently, one of the things, as was said, if you don't understand a problem, it's very difficult to solve it. One of the reasons why CPP is where it is, why we bring the best brains and all that, the best names, and still don't get the numbers, is simply because we don't have the party, the structures. And that is what we are doing. What the political analyst had forgot to say was that after the CPP was banned and political party was brought back, we won. We won under a different name, simply because the name CPP was banned for a while. So we went under the name PNP. But today, as we sit here, NDC, merged with the same arrangement with another party that was part of CPP, which was led by our father, Dr. Akar. And that is how they took our structures. PNC was no party.
But you say they took your structures. The truth is that your party was fragmented.
No.
Everybody came out with their own strand of it. We had the PNC, we had the PDP, all these parties coming from the mother. So clearly...
At what point are you talking about?
I'm talking about the beginning of the Fourth Republic.
That's exactly my point. But now that we got the CPP, the beginning of the Fourth Republic, it was at the Fourth Republic that we joined with NDC to become the NDC. It was at the Fourth Republic. It was at the Fourth Republic. We didn't go for elections. It was at the Fourth Republic, which was overthrown by the PNDC overthrew PNP, which was our party.
The Third Republic.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that the Fourth Republic overthrew.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? That the PNDC or AFRC, whatever, I've forgotten the time, overthrew the PNP. So they overthrew our party. That was in the majority. Now, so within that Fourth Republic, after the overthrow, when we were going back to democracy again, that was when the multi-party system, that was when we joined with the PNDC to form that party NDC. Our flag bearer became the running mate and became the vice president. So at the time where clearly there was a problem and we left, today we have our structures in everywhere in the country. We are not here complaining or lamenting. We just know the problem and we are here to solve the problem. So basically, we have designed a solution that intends to be able to build back the base without having access to all the funds, because Ghanaian is ready, just as they were ready during our father Osagyefo's time. It's the same Convention People's Party and it's the same organization that was used to make sure that we got our independence. And it's the same organization structure using current technology that we are using to ensure that we get back our political independence. The reason for which we took our economic independence, the reason for which we took the political independence. So if you ask me, I just want to tell you that CPP is poised. People might think that we are far behind, but in this world, I know that any major achievement you see, no matter what you see out there, even the China wall, whatever, was built a slice at a time. So the huge elephant, as they say, the best way to eat an elephant is a slice at a time. So CPP, we have reduced our system to a polling station area. What we have done now is take like this ordinary form, convert it with technology to a level that if I came to you, as I'm going to come to you, and I said, gentlemen, looking at you, you have so much to contribute, so let's see how you are able to build the polling station for us in your area. What will happen is that I'll give you one, that is your electoral area, and it will come with this package, because it will tell you that within this polling station, this whole Greater Accra. Now, within Greater Accra, we have 35 constituencies. That within that 35 constituencies is one they call Ablekuma Central. And within Ablekuma Central, we have 428 electoral areas. And within that 428 electoral area, there is an electoral area called Abosu Okai. And within that Abosu Okai electoral area, there are 57 polling stations. All this is here. So when I give you this, I give you one, and this particular one is Good Hope Hostel Abosu Okai polling station. This one here is DC Primary polling station. I mean, it's all over the place. So it is the same in all. This will tell you the region. This is for Volta. So it gives you all the detail, and you will realize that when we are done, within the Greater Accra, we would have 5,504 executives. Because in each polling station, and this is polling station specific, and in each polling station, we have 20 applications. So when we leave this project with you, you don't have to come to our office right away because we are trying to get executives. So we are looking for 17 executives within your polling station. Talk to your friend, your colleagues, your brother, your girlfriend, your wife, anybody who wants Ghana to work. We take their information right in here, which is part of this app. It's in the insert here. And then you dial this number. It's an SMS number, and you just give us the name of the person. We have put a system at our headquarters that will take that information and will be able to contact the person. This is spread across the 16 regions. So 38,200 and something polling stations, specifically 6,240 something electoral areas specifically. So we are talking about booklet of almost 46,000 spread across Ghana in every single polling station. That is what we haven't done in the past. And we don't have, it's the difference between this one and that one. We don't have the resources, but we have the technology and we have the human-centered approach to solving problems. And we believe that very soon, when we have been able to get the numbers within our polling station, which we've not been able to do for a while, we will be able to establish to Ghanaians that CPP does not only have the human-centered solution, but we also have the technology. We are not about digitization. We are about using and applying the technology to make life convenient, easy, and better for people.
You're not about digitization. You don't.
I mean, I'm saying we are beyond.
Right.
We are beyond digitization. Digitizing something is good. That's what we've done. But using that to apply to solve the problems of the people is what CPP is about.
Is CPP still a socialist party, or are you revamping that as well?
Socialist in the sense that we believe that the people, the welfare of the people must be the paramount of anything we do. Yes. It is not just making you a billionaire, but making that the Ghanaian and every Ghanaian, including the people, those on the streets, the young people with their parents, everybody must have access to the national cake. It's not about communism where everybody gets only a small pie. No, we believe that the state itself must be rich. The state itself must be wealthy. The state must own its minerals. We should not just open our doors for people to come and own our gold, come and own our oil, and just at the end of the day get the pit. We just get less than how many percentage? No, that is not what CPP is about. We believe that it belongs to the Ghanaian, and if we bring a foreign investor or even a local investor, a part of it, a chunk part of it must return back to the nation, so that when we need to support you to own the station, we would have the capital, because capitalism without capital is just necessary. It means that you are selling everything out, because you open your doors for anybody to come in and investors to come in, yet you don't have the funds to give your own citizens so that they will be competitive. So you end up with a 1D, 1F that is owned by foreigners. You end up with a situation where all your factories, defunct factories, are now owned by Chinese, what do you call it? I've forgotten the name, but this supermarkets that are being opened everywhere.
Right.
The China malls.
China Mall.
Go to Kumasi, All the factories are now China malls, or factories that or have become warehouses for raw material, the produce from China. That is a shame. You know, all these things and frustration that we are seeing in the Ghanaian youth, we are seeing fighting. This fight is because of winner takes it all, and the fact that politics has become the path to getting wealth, which should not be the case. We should make it. So if you ask me, are we a socialist party? Yes, we are still a socialist party, but we believe that the Ghanaian must have access to accommodation, better healthcare, better access to funds, and be able to be competitive of today's global competitiveness, not what we see today. Right. So that is what it is.
I want to bring in Dr. Amakye Boateng. I mean, you've been listening, Doc, to the very impassioned vision of the chair of the CPP. They say this is how they want to revamp their party. The aim here is to win an election. Doc, from what you've heard, will it work? Are excited at the idea of a revamped party, but are wondering what it will look like. It seems that today's CPP doesn't really have names that spring to mind, household names, if you will.
I agree with you, because over the years, the numbers that we get at the polling stations has not really made a lot of the people stay. Yet they are there. Currently, we opened nominations. The 2 people picked up the form. Myself, Nana Frimpoma, and Ivor Kwabena Green Street were the ones that at that point where they closed the nomination had put in and paid for the nominations and all that. Currently, we think that we should go back and finalize this and then come back. So I'm not sure who is coming in again. Otherwise, I can say that for now, it is myself and Kwabena and Ivor Green Street who will be there. Now, most importantly, we believe that CPP must be worked out today as the same way as a church will do with evangelism. So it's not just about the forms, because the forms, the good news for CPP and the youth of this country is that today as we speak, MPP is closed. NDC is closed. And what do I mean? You see all that's going on. It's about picking the flag bearer. We are currently now opened to bringing more people in before we finalized. We have 800 from this. We would have over, just in Greater Accra, if I pick one here, if I just take here, just organization, if I take Upper West, just in Upper West, by the time we are done, we'd have 26,100 executives in Upper West.
That's a lot of executives. Will each of them have a job?
Yes, yes. At the polling station, each of them will have the chairperson, the national, the vice chair, the women's organizer, all the structures. It's 17 of them. And it's the same thing. If you look at Western North, we would end up with 22,000. If you look at Western itself, it will be 50,000. So everything is clearly spelled out for anybody.
But they will not be elected. They will be sort of selected.
They will be elected.
Right.
The first stage is the polling station. But the second stage, they elect themselves for the electoral area. And then they would elect the delegates at the constituency level.
Right.
You understand? Before we do the national, and so we have the blueprint. What we need now is evangelism.
Okay. What are the timelines here? Just to wrap up, what are the timelines for delivering this new and improved CPP?
2024. 7 December 2024. It is an ongoing project. The time that we close this, we would have 800,000 of them. The point is simple. It's evangelism. If our executives find only 10 people like you, I talk to you, your girlfriend, and everybody, and you can see yourself, the women that will come and sign. If I talk to somebody, all you need to bring is called the 1 to 10. Bring us 10 people like yourself, we would end up with 6.8 million people voted for CPP.
That's
It is possible. It is possible. It is the Ghanaian. We are using Ghanaians, and it is the Ghanaian. It is the Ghanaian that is getting the haircut. It is the Ghanaian that knows what is happening today. It is the Ghanaian that is seeing to what everything that we are seeing. It is the Ghanaian that's seen that the extent of corruption. We can't do anything. It is the Ghanaian that can do it. And I'm saying CPP is at the same point that Osagyefo was when people were agitating and wanted to have a change and wanted to have independence. Today, the Ghanaian is agitating. He's agitating for a better situation. The economy must work. All the fundamentals have been ignored. And so when the fundamentals are completely ignored as it is, you see what you see here. The running economy, the running, what do you call it, the foreign exchange that cannot be arrested. You know, everything is gone here. Right. Everything is confused. So for me, all I can say is that we take, like I said, no matter how huge you see any problem, it is from minor, simple accomplishments along the way that adds up to worldwide, gigantic solutions.
That's a great place to wrap it up. Nana Akosua from Poma Sapon Kumankuma is the chair of the CPP, and they are on an evangelism drive. The CPP wants you and your girlfriend. So let's see how successful they are with their drive. Fingers crossed, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Well, it's been fantastic bringing you this afternoon's edition of The Pulse. Can't wait to do it again tomorrow. Stay tuned to the Joy News channel until then, and certainly pop over to myjoyonline.com for all of the latest headlines on stories that matter to you. Until we meet again, my name is Kojo Youngson. It's always a pleasure. Have a wonderful evening.